So you built something real with Claude Code. It worked. Then you added one more feature and the whole thing fell apart. Errors you don't understand, code you can't fix. That's the wall every vibe coder hits. And here's the thing. It's not because you don't know enough about coding. It's because you are skipping some steps. Get them right and Claude Code stops generating messes and starts building software that you'd actually trust. This isn't theory. I've used this exact workflow to build features on my app, animated AI videos, and built architectures of a completely new software. Same 3 steps every time. It lets me move fast without babysitting the code. So let's say you have a chat app and you want to make a simple export feature to export all the conversations. To do this, you can simply say add an export CSV button to this application and hit enter. Looks fine, right? But think about all the things it leaves unsaid. Where should the button go? Which columns should be in the CSV? Should it export only what's on the screen or something else as well? And what should the file be called? Agent doesn't know any of this, so it guesses. And every guess is a place where your feature can go wrong. So instead of making guesses, I follow this 3-step process. Step 1, brainstorm. Figure out what we actually want to build. Step 2, plan. Turn that into a concrete and written implementation plan. And step 3, execute. Let the agent write the code and verify based on the plan. That's it. Let's start with the first step, brainstorm. For this, I use the brainstorming skill by the Superpowers plugin that you can install very easily on your Claude Code setup. I'll put a link for this in the description box. Once you install it, you can invoke it with the / command. And then you can say something like, let's brainstorm on making a new export CSV feature to export the chat conversations using a button. And now we hit enter. So this brainstorming skill will take a look at the request that the user has made and it will ask you relevant questions so that you can understand and you can communicate what exactly you want. This is the place where I spend most of my time and most of my thinking. Now Claude Code starts asking me questions, sometimes multiple choice questions, sometimes open-ended questions. And this back and forth is the whole point. If it misunderstands anything that I want, I can catch it right here. Here it is asking me the following questions. What should one row in the CSV represent? A single message or a full conversation? Should it export all the conversation or a selected few? And it goes on to ask me more questions with options for each of them. I can either select one of them or give it more detail of what I want. When the work is UI heavy, I also use the visual companion that the Superpowers plugin offers. So I can see the UI layouts and flows visually instead of describing every pixel in words. And the output of this step is not code. It's a design document saved right in the code repository. Once the design document is locked, I switch to the writing plan skills by the same Superpowers plugin. This skill takes the design document from the previous step and writes a detailed implementation plan that can be used to actually implement the feature. A good plan spells out exactly what files we'll touch, what helper functions we need, what tests should exist, and what command proves that the feature actually works. At this point, I will usually ask the agent to self-review the design document and the implementation plan 2 to 3 times. And here's something that surprised me. I often don't read these documents at all because all the decisions that matter are already captured in the brainstorming step. The plan is just bookkeeping for these decisions. Like the design document, the implementation plan also lives in the same repository as a markdown file. By now, your Claude Code context might be 30 to 40% full, sometimes more. I do something that feels backward. I clear the context and start fresh. Then I invoke the executing plan skills by Superpowers. So and tell it to look at the implementation plan and implement the feature according to the plan. I also ask it to spin up sub-agents where it can, so the implementation can be done faster. That fresh context is the trick. The agent doesn't need the whole conversation anymore. Every decision that we made is already written down in the design document and the implementation plan document. So it works from a clean slate, focused instead of a cluttered one. Honest warning about this whole process. What I just showed you is a fast way to build things, but it is not production safe. Before anything goes to production, I take this process further. A proper review for security holes, for performance, and for overall code structure. But that's a separate process. If I'm building something for myself that is a soloware that only I will use, I don't sweat it. I build the feature with this 3-step process and start using it. Just remember who you're building for. So that's the whole template. 1. Brainstorm to discuss and clarify all the details and write it in a design document. 2. Turn that design document into a detailed implementation plan. Ask Claude Code to self-review these plans 2 to 3 times. And 3. Clear the context and actually execute and implement the feature based on the plan. The process allows you to do less vibe coding and more of a deliberate agentic engineering. Try out on the next feature that you build and tell me in the comments what did you build. If this was useful to you, don't forget to like the video. And if you want to learn more about how to use AI in your work, subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Thank you.